Hello YouTube! It's been 10 years since I made a smart home tour video. Now I'm at the point where I'm fairly happy with how everything's working, and I've treated myself to a half decent camera, so I thought I'd have another crack at it. Well, I think I can show you some really cool things that even if you are a smart home enthusiast already like myself, you might not have seen before. For example, smart air fresheners, custom made light switches, 3D printed light fixtures, smart touch lamps, a smart desk, even bespoke furniture I've made to complement my smart home. And I bet you've not seen many other smart homes featured on BBC Panorama. You see, I love having a go at CAD, 3D printing, custom electronics, ESP home, and even a bit of joinery. So come and have a look and see. Welcome. The first thing I want to show you is this boring looking light switch. I didn't want anything fancy, I just wanted smart lighting with conventional looking switches. Hence using nice simple switches with Sonoff ZB modules behind them instead. Triggered by this Hue motion sensor, or when someone approaches the Ring doorbell. And lastly in here, all external doors get the Akara contact sensor treatment. So onto the downstairs WC. There's no Japanese style robotic toilet yet, but there are still some awesome smart home features. Again, the light switch in here looks and behaves like anyone would expect. But of course, you need never use it. Motion sensors are great until you're not moving. I tried adding a contact sensor to the door to help reliably detect occupancy. But ultimately you need a presence sensor for that. Hence, I fitted one in my ceiling. One of my favourite things in my smart home is this, again, completely normal looking air freshener dispenser. I've converted a couple of these to Zigbee and I'm incredibly pleased with the result. Not only do they look completely unfettled, but all original functionality is retained, including the manual spray. And they're still powered using just a couple of AA batteries as they were originally. Why did I do this? Well, I don't need or want air fresheners to be dispensed when no one's used the bathroom. Or really, if someone's only spent a penny, it's just a waste. And if you have all of these things, don't you hate it when this happens? Have you been there? I've been there. It doesn't taste very nice. Converting these to Zigbee was actually pretty simple. It's a case of removing the original timer circuitry and replacing it with a PCB from a Zigbee fingerbolt. It's almost a drop-in replacement. A little snippy here, a little heat shrink there, a dab of hot glue here. I moved the touch sensing pad there, and hey presto, I'll leave a link below to my step-by-step guide. Anyway, the end result is that if the bathroom's been occupied for more than 2 minutes, the auto spray becomes active. And only once the bathroom is no longer occupied, air freshener is automatically dispensed. And if I look at the stats in Home Assistant, I can see that this one has sprayed 2,344 times in about a year. That's about 6 or 7 times a day. I replaced the batteries after about 8 months, but it's still on its original bottle of air freshener liquid. There's probably about 5% left at the time of filming. The upstairs one is on about 561 sprays in the same period. The next cool thing in here is what happens when you double tap the light switch. Automatic lighting is disabled and disabled by a double pull of the light switch. Because, you know, sometimes automatic lights can be annoying. It's nice to be able to toggle it on and off easily. That's the bathroom covered. Let's move on. The next stop on the tour is the garage, which I know is a complete mess. There's another motion sensor up here, but that'll do as no one's sitting or standing still in here. It's purely a case of motion on, no motion off, and that switches another relay up here. The only other thing to mention in here is the Shelly energy monitor that I installed inside the consumer unit. Don't try that at home, obviously. Next up, the lounge. I have a rule for any smart lighting in my home, and that is that smart bulbs shall not be switched. Having to tell Granny not to touch that switch on the wall is just, well, daft frankly. All the smart bulbs are RGBW, not because I needed them to be, but because I wanted them to be. I mean, they just look cool, so why not? And all the conventional light fixtures use conventional bulbs connected to smart switches or dimmers. Speaking of switches, I again wanted something that looked like a conventional wall switch, but also added controls for my smart curtains and blinds. I previously used these Lightwave RF dimmers. Not only did I hate how they looked, they didn't report back to Home Assistant because they only received signals. Again, I didn't want to start covering up conventional switches or slapping remote buttons over the top. Goodness knows I didn't want to be running loads of extra wires all over the place. And most of the other Zigbee wall switches I've seen advertised just look naff, or as if they were designed by Fisher Price for a 2-year-old. Again, I just wanted something that looked like any other light switch in any other home, but with added functionality. So I made these. The aim was to blend in with the other faceplates, like the one behind the speaker here as an example, which is right next to it. And these are a kind of hybrid conventional switch and Zigbee scene controller. I've removed the switch from a conventional single gang wall switch, which is of course connected to another Sonoff ZB Mini. Or indeed a Candeo Zigbee rotary dimmer like this one. And I've paired that with one of these inexpensive LoraTap Zigbee wall remote controls, which come in various shapes and sizes with different numbers of buttons. The dimmer or switch and Zigbee buttons are then mounted to the back of this 3D printed faceplate that I designed in Onshape. Let's have a look at them in action. Obviously the Candeo dimmer is wired up to this ceiling fixture. The left hand switch controls the curtains. The right hand switch controls the smart bulbs. At the other end of the room, it's a similar story. Except here, we have a switch connected to a ZB Mini instead of a Candeo rotary dimmer. This switch controls the smart bulbs. This one is for the curtains. These curtains are motorised curtain tracks connected to Shelly relays. And lastly, this one is for the Roman blind. I've also added double tap functions to the Zigbee buttons, so if I'm in the dining area I still have control of the curtains at the opposite end of the room, and vice versa. Or indeed the light fitting. I'm using Nest for heating, hot water and smoke alarms. They look pretty. Moving swiftly on, let's talk about furniture. This TV unit is one of my most recent creations. I'm including this in the smart home tour because it is part of my AV setup, which itself is integrated into my smart home. You see, what I've done is built my subwoofer into it. I took apart the sub that came with my Atmos speaker package and replicated the internal dimensions of that sub within my cabinet design. I'm by no means an expert, but it works, and the end result seems to sound pretty much the same as it did before, so winning! And it goes perfectly with this other cabinet that I made to house all of our board games, and most importantly, our robot vacuum cleaner space station. I mean, I do love this little robot, but having its ginormous monolithic base station just plonked somewhere in the lounge just gets in the way. This was one of my earliest forays into Onshape, or really anything more advanced than Microsoft Paint. I'm still very much fumbling my way through, as I'm sure you can tell. The end result is exactly what I was after. The robot base station is nicely tucked away and almost entirely hidden. And opening the lid to remove or reinstall the tanks, or opening the drawer to change the bag, remain just as straightforward as they were before the base station was cocooned. The last DIY creation in the lounge is this, my custom-made French oak extremely dusty 19U rack, where you'll find a 3 kVA UPS, a PS5, a set-top box, a micro form factor PC, for home assistant of course, AV receiver and laptop PC. Again, this was born of the desire to keep things looking like a house, not like the Starship Enterprise. And to keep my young children's fingers off, well, my toys. All of the AV gear in here is controlled by my beloved Harmony remote. Please don't ever die on me. And I've also created my own interface and home assistant for any room in which there exists a TV. So here we have the lounge, kitchen, bedroom, and finally the cabin in the garden. And because this is home assistant, one button takes care of everything. Integrating older or cheaper TVs could be a challenge. The kitchen TV has no discrete on or off IR command, so there was no way to reliably tell Home Assistant whether it was on or off. So, stuck to the back of the kitchen TV is an ESP01M, which not only transmits the power toggle IR signal to turn the TV on or off, it also monitors the state of the TV's USB port so Home Assistant knows what state it's in. Watch my Home Assistant remote interface when I turn the kitchen TV off with its own physical remote. I'm using another Harmony hub in the bedroom for this TV. Unfortunately, this one predates TVs with USB ports being commonplace, plus doesn't support HDMI CEC, so I'm using this energy monitoring smart plug to detect whether it's on or off. And that's just one part of the really quite overcomplicated setup I have going on here. Previously the TVs were all linked together via HDMI or HD-bit-T over Cat6. If we peek behind this cabinet, you'll see the hole in the wall where HDMI enters and runs all the way up into the loft, to this cobbled together mess consisting of an HDMI splitter and HD-bit-T transmitter. And if we look behind the bedroom TV, you can see the HDMI from the loft. And there are two Cat6 cables coming down from the loft, one for AV, one for the home network, running under the gravel and all the way along the fence to the cabin. The idea was to have one PlayStation, one Nintendo, one Xbox and one set-top box, and be able to use them from any TV. In reality, however, wireless controller range is not good enough. Lag over HD-bit-T is terrible, and pretty much everything we watch is now streamed online anyway. You live and learn. Here's something that does work quite well, however. Skip the ads. Onto the kitchen. This kitchen was a labour of love. Not only did I design it myself and fit it myself with the help of my father-in-law, I am this kitchen's primary user. This is my kitchen, and because it's my kitchen it has to be smart. And I don't mean just the lighting. Another Hue motion sensor lives up above the door, and an Aqara FP2 monitors presence. These work together to ensure that, although there is a light switch, it need never be used. But through the magic of Home Assistant and smart appliances, if it is used, it also turns on the Hue light strips and the cooker hood lighting. Yes, the hob and extractor hood are both Wi-Fi enabled. Not having to remember to turn on the extractor when I'm cooking is really handy. Having the hood lighting turn on automatically with the rest of the kitchen lighting is really cool too. Did someone say voice controlled ovens? So turn on the oven.
Okay.
So turn on the top oven.
Okay.
And have you ever put something in the oven and forgotten to set a timer? When did I close the oven?
1 moment. The oven door closed 2 minutes ago.
When did I close the oven?
1 moment. The oven door closed 5 seconds ago.
Now then, this coffee machine. It's a Dura Z10. It makes great coffee. It has Wi-Fi. So does this little milk cooler thingy, so I was quite excited about the possibility of integrating it into Home Assistant and having it turn on automatically for me in the morning. Yeah, not so much. Sadly, Jira does not expose any local or cloud API for third-party remote control. It does make fantastic coffee though. This is my smarter iKettle 3.0, which can be integrated into Home Assistant. I say can, that was until Smarter apparently let their cloud service die back in October 2025 and haven't bothered to fix it. At time of recording, it looks like they're still selling these things as being smart devices. So I had to take matters into my own hands. I removed the stock logic board and crafted my own custom ESP32 based version. Smarter, if you're watching this, I'd like to propose the following change to your company name. Yes, I will henceforth refer to you simply as Anyway, this story has a happy ending. Turn on the kettle.
Okay.
Turn off the kettle.
Okay.
Okay, let's go upstairs. The first room on the upstairs tour is the bathroom. Again, no robotic toilets or automated shower as of yet. Maybe one day. And again, the automated light switch looks and acts like any normal light pull. And the motion and contact sensors are made redundant by another presence sensor. Here's the other of my Zigbee enabled air freshener dispensers, the same as downstairs. This time, however, my Bluetooth enabled toothbrush lets Home Assistant know if the bathroom's only been used for teeth brushing and therefore no air freshening required. Next up is my daughter's room. I designed these balloon light fixtures in Onshape in such a way that they could be wall mounted and would accommodate these E14 bulb holders. The three lines on the back were intended to provide support when printing without auto-generating a whole bunch inside the balloon itself. That didn't work at all, they just broke off during printing, but otherwise they printed great without any supports inside the balloon. I also made these ribbon-shaped cable clips to secure the wires to the wall and add to the balloon aesthetic. These consist of two parts, the bit that screws to the wall and the ribbon that clips over the top. Her cupboard / reading nook / place where older stuffed toys are relegated gets a Hue light strip, and a Cara contact sensor, and a simple automation that turns the light on when the door is opened, off when it is closed. The Alexa device in here is this Echo Flex that's tucked away nicely inside this bookcase that I made for her. Lighting in here is controlled with the Candeo dimmer for the ceiling fixture. And this Hue dimmer that controls the balloon lamps. Holding the brightness up button turns on colour loop. My kids love that. Double tapping on switches back to normal at max brightness. Hold the off button, however, and the blind closes. Hold the on button and it opens up again. This blind used to be chain operated, but is now powered by a Somfy Zigbee motor within the headrail, paired with the optional lithium-ion battery pack and solar panel, keeping the battery topped up nicely. Let's check out my son's room. The lighting in here is pretty much the same, except for his nightlight, which I'll come to in a moment, and his funky green dinosaur thing, which is hooked up to a Zigbee plug socket adapter. Once again, we have a Candeo Zigbee dimmer for the ceiling fixture, and this Hue dimmer that controls the smart bulbs. Hold the off button and the blind closes. Hold on and it opens up again. This blind is the same as my daughter's, with a Somfy Zigbee motor, lithium battery and solar panel. My son's blind needed a 3D printed wedge to stop the blind from getting snagged on the battery. Unlike my daughter's, however, this blind was originally purchased as a smart blind, but it used a 433 MHz RF motor, and so that had to go in the bin. This is my son's nightlight. It used to be battery powered with a cheap little remote control. So I printed a new base with another E14 bulb holder for a Hue smart bulb. At 7 PM it turns on with a nice warm glow for bedtime. At 10 PM it turns red, and red means stay in your bed. And at 7:30 AM it turns green to let him know it's okay to get up and jump on Dad, which works about as well as you might expect. Onto the master bedroom, and onto another set of 3D printed light fixtures. I did this because the original clear glass was far too harsh. The end result was better than expected, so they stayed. Control of these lamps is again achieved with another Hue dimmer. The main light is hooked up to a Candeo dimmer once again. Hold brightness up on the dimmer for colour loop. Double tap to reset to normal. Hold off to close the blind. And hold on to open. You're looking at my third attempt at automating this blind. Previous motors lacked sufficient torque for such a big blind. In the end, I 3D printed a planetary gearbox for both ends of a Somfy motor, the same as I've used in my kids' rooms, to give it enough beans to tilt this thing properly with minimal light leakage. The motor and battery are neatly stowed away within the headrail itself. And this solar panel ensures it requires no battery charging or a mains supply. And lastly in here, another Hue light strip under the bed comes on during the night when we enter the room, to light our way if one of us is already asleep. Okay, the last room upstairs is a spare room. Let's go. No, where are you going? Okay, that's better. A very ordinary looking bedroom this one, but again with some subtle smart home features. not just the Candeo Zigbee dimmer. Or the hue buttons on the wall for the lamps. No blinds in here, but this time hold off and the curtains close. Hold on and of course they open right up. This is another motorised track like the ones in the lounge, connected to a Shelly relay. This motion sensor disables automatic opening at 7:30 AM if motion is detected at any point in the wee hours. Hands up who thinks this is an ordinary touch lamp. Watch what happens when I touch and hold for a couple of seconds. These touch lamps were cheap ones from Argos, and they previously contained one of these touch dimmer modules. So naturally, I had to make them smart, using an ESP32 and Robotdyne Triac dimmer. The result is that I can use the touch sensor to trigger anything I want to, like opening the curtains. Excellent! Spare room done, back to the landing, and another Sonoff powered switch, and hue motion sensor. And what loft hatch will be complete without a contact sensor and automated lighting? Sorry, not sorry. Let's go outside. And as we pass this motion sensor, I get a notification on my watch. Whilst another robot minion does my bidding. This is an Ecovac Goat O1200 LiDAR Pro. Now, I had to build this fella his own little house too, because of where it's positioned under this tree. Just look at what the pigeons would have done to him otherwise.
Ew.
Lighting in the garden is automatic, of course. Yes, I know these bulkheads are really low. I installed them before raising the patio. There's a couple more at the other end of the garden on the cabin. And a simple automation ensures they all work together as one. I built this cabin about 7 years ago and it came with this sheddy bit on the side. And yes, even the light in here is automated. Let's go inside the cabin and see what smart home goodies we have in here. These excuse the mess. As you'd expect, the lighting and window coverings are all automated. In here I installed 4 of these cheap semi-smart Zigbee motors inside cheap IKEA blinds. These are also battery powered and topped up by the sun. But I feel it is my duty to tell you that one of them arrived dead and another packed up within a few months. Your mileage may vary. Unsurprisingly, a hue dimmer switch controls the smart bulbs in here. Another Sonoff module looks after the ceiling and outside lights. Colour loop on. Double tap to reset to normal. And of course, hold on to open the blinds. And off to close. The sub under the desk is turned on with the Zigbee socket when the amp is turned on. And a Broadlink RM Pro gives me control over this AC unit in the corner. So turn on the air conditioning. This is an ordinary Becant sit-stand desk from IKEA, except, of course, it isn't. Inside this controller resides something called a Mega Desk, along with its ESP32 based companion from Greg's Tinkertown. This is essentially a drop-in replacement for the original controller, and it's just so cool, I love it! Be sure to check out Greg's channel if you want to smartify your Becant desk. Anyway, here it is in action. Turn on desk position for...
Okay.
So, as soon as I enter the cabin for work in the morning and trigger this motion sensor, the monitor, AV receiver, subwoofer, lighting, climate and desk are all turned on or adjusted automatically. And when I'm done for the day, I double tap the off button on the dimmer switch and everything turns off immediately and the blinds are closed. And if you were worried that the desk gets in the way of the telly, well, worry no more. Turn on cinema mode.
Okay.
And that's about it for now. Thanks very much for checking out my video. This was my first go at actual video editing. Much respect to those making multiple videos on their own, much better than this one on a regular basis. It's a lot of work. If you'd like to know more about anything in this video, let me know below. Obligatory like and subscribe if you feel like helping me out. Cheers!